Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shaelene and today we are doing the BOOKTUBE About Me tag. Thought it would be fun to do just a quick little tag today and hopefully you can get to know a little bit more about me. So let's get right on into the video. First question is, what do you study / what is your job? I can go about this two ways. I can talk about what I would like to study and what I would like my job to be, but unfortunately the sad truth is that I am disabled. I haven't even completed high school, so obviously haven't been to university or college, and I have never had a job. You know, I would have loved to have completed high school and went on to become a marine biologist and do something probably with sharks, because I love the ocean. I love sharks. They're magnificent animals and that's like my dream job. Number 2, what is your favorite social media channel? I watch a heck of a lot of YouTube. I jump back and forth between watching book videos and beauty videos. I also really do quite enjoy Instagram. I like scrolling through there occasionally. I mostly like watching stories. I'm terrible at commenting and liking photos though. Like that's just a bad habit of mine. And then sometimes I scroll through Twitter or Facebook and I'm absolutely horrid at Twitter. Number 3, if you had another channel, what would it be? I actually do have another channel. So that channel is a channel dedicated to my life with chronic illness, chronic Lyme disease, chronic pain, disability. So on that channel I talk a lot about my illness, which is why I wanted to make this channel, so I didn't talk about my illness a lot, but I find it's hard to avoid talking about my illness. On that channel, I solely talk about chronic illness and I do some vlogs about my life in between. I have been really bad at posting there lately, but I really do hope to get better at that, hopefully this June and this summer in general. Number 4, do you play any instruments? No, I haven't. Number 6, what hobbies do you have other than reading? Photography would be one of them. YouTube would obviously be another one of them. I do consider those hobbies. I don't really have, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really have many other hobbies than YouTube and reading. I don't think binge watching Netflix and YouTube could really be considered a hobby. But if it was, I would be pretty darn good at it. But yeah, unfortunately life with chronic illness can be kind of boring and it really restricts what you can do. So those are pretty much the only things I can do at the moment. Number 6, favorite TV shows. So some of my favorite TV shows that have been a constant over the years have been shows like Bones, which sadly ended a few years ago. There's Murdoch Mysteries, one of my favorite TV shows. I really love watching anything that's like historical drama type of TV shows. I also really love watching international murder mysteries and thrillers. There's one from Iceland I watched and I can't remember the name of it. I will put a picture of it here, but I really enjoyed the first season of that. There's been a few more. There's one, I can't, again, A Dead Wind, that's what it was called. That one I really loved and I wish they made a second season because I absolutely love the characters in that. And there's also a documentary series on Netflix that is about photography and photographers and how to get the perfect shot. It's called Tales by Light. That's also one of my favorite TV shows. I just love to watch that when I'm feeling very stressed. Number 7, what got you into reading? I struggled reading a lot throughout the course of my illness. There's been periods where I would read and then stop reading, stop reading. So this has been the longest period I have gone where I consistently stuck with my reading, and that's solely based on the fact that I have been having less brain fog and I have a little bit more mental clarity thanks to the treatments that I am doing to help manage symptoms of my Lyme disease. Last year, I think in January is kind of where I started a little bit. I reread one of my favorite series And then in May of last year, I started the Anne of Green Gables series, which is a series I've always wanted to read. And then in August is really when my reading took off. I had wisdom tooth surgery in July. I was very, very sick because I had what's called a Herxheimer's reaction to the antibiotics I took. And that caused a lot of die-off in my body, and I was not able to kind of get rid of that die-off, which in turn made my body very toxic and quite sick. So I was literally stuck in bed for, oh god, like pretty much the entire summer, and I didn't start to feel completely normal until November, so I was stuck in bed for like 4 months. And during that time, especially in August, when the brain fog and stuff started to clear, is when I started to read, because I was literally laying in bed watching movies after movies after movies, and like I was just training myself on movies. So I needed something different, so I tried reading, and I never stopped really. I just kept on reading because I discovered that it was much easier for me to read now, and it's something that I obviously really enjoy doing. I always have, but it's now that I just really have the reading bug, and I just want to keep reading. Number 8, what are your favorite and least favorite genres? So one of my favorites for sure would have to be historical fiction. I will read historical fiction of pretty much any era, and I really love thrillers and murder mysteries, although I am having a hard time really finding a psychological thriller that I like, because I find there are so many tropes and things that kind of annoy me in psychological thrillers. So I tend to lean more towards police, procedural, and detective type murder mysteries and stories. I unfortunately have been sucked up into the hype machine, so I do read a lot of hyped up books because I am, you know, just getting into reading again, so I feel like I am struggling to catch up with books and stuff. As a result of that, I do end up reading like a bit more YA than I would ever expect that I would ever read. Typically, YA is a tricky genre for me because I feel like when I read it, I find that the teenage mentality is irritating and annoying, and just there's so many tropes in YA. It's really hard to find a YA book that I really, really love. It's definitely a genre that I struggle with, but it's also one that I'm still sort of interested in reading, and I'm not 100% going to give up on. I also love reading classics, but because I am reading so many heavy books, it is hard to get to classics, but typically I can enjoy most classics. What other genres? I do kind of like contemporaries. I love multi-generational kind of stories, so I do like those. Nonfiction is definitely a favorite genre for me as well. A lot of people don't read nonfiction on BookTube. I hardly ever see anybody talk about nonfiction books unless it's like a really hyped up one. I typically read nonfiction that has to do with Egyptology and history, or the ocean, or true crime. So that's typically what I read. I do have a few memoirs that I want to read, but that's only because they're also hyped up. Otherwise, I typically wouldn't read those. My least favorite genres, or I guess genres that I really haven't read a lot of and don't really plan to, like, I really hate romance. I just don't like romance, and I just, it annoys me, and I have to be in a very, very specific mood to want to read romance, and I'm just never really in that mood, so I never read romance. I also don't read a whole lot of sci-fi. There's not many books pertaining to sci-fi that interest me. If it's like set in kind of like space, like The Martian by Andy Weir, like I'm interested in reading that, and also Artemis by him, but like that's pretty much it. There's only like a select few sci-fi novels I would ever read, and that's the same with fantasy. I don't tend to read a whole lot of fantasy, and if I read fantasy, it has to do with either mythology or mermaids. I love a good mermaid story. I love stories set in the ocean, so that's pretty much the only fantasy you will ever see me reading. So that's pretty much it. I think that I covered most of the genres. Like, definitely sci-fi and fantasy is my least read, and I find it hard to find books that I would be interested in reading in that particular genre. I'm not a fan of magic. It just really doesn't interest me that much. I'm not a fan of witchcraft. It also doesn't interest me. It just, you know, horror, I guess, would also be another genre as well. Even though I do read a lot of thrillers and murder mysteries, I find that more like ghost story kind of stuff and paranormal stuff I just really don't like. So I tend to stay away from those. What books define your childhood? So, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with non-fiction books. I was always reading books about animals, about the ocean, and like cats, and history, and that kind of thing. So I still was very much a non-fiction nerd when I was a kid. I never read series like Percy Jackson or Harry Potter. A book for me that kind of stands out as being a book that would define my childhood is basically books about sharks, which I have a lot of, but they're in a separate room and I really can't get to them right now. But I do have this here one, and it's called Shark Lady: The True Adventures of Eugene Clark by Anne McGovern. Eugene Clark is a famous diver and scientist. She really pioneered marine biology for women and really revolutionized the science of sharks research and stuff, and it's a really short book, but this is one that I felt really kind of inspired my childhood and just fueled my drive to become a marine biologist when I was a wee little thing. And number 10, tell us an interesting fact about you. An interesting fact about me is that I'm not very interesting at all. Yeah, I guess that's all it's going to be for this video. If you did enjoy this, please let me know and give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I will leave my social medias in the description below. You can go follow me on Instagram, Goodreads, and Twitter, and I guess I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.